Hey guys, welcome to another Homelab Series video today. In today's video, we'll be having some fun and creating a self-hosted Kimai server. Kimai is essentially a self-hosted application that you can run. They also have a cloud version, but in this case, you're here for the self-hosted version. How do you set it up? How do you use it, right? But we'll be using that. They have a Docker container, so we'll use Docker Compose to set it all up. But it's a open source time tracking solution that you can use, so you can create like projects, tasks, and then the neat thing about it is you can like start a time on like a certain task, and then when you're done with it, you can hit end and it'll record how long it took essentially. So it's kind of great if you just have some like side projects that you want to keep track of, or if you have side projects that you need to invoice people for whatever reason, and track your time for that, this is another possibly good way to do it. Not saying that you should do it this way, but another option. You never know. So we'll get started. Let's have some fun. All right, so to get started, we will need to create a few things. So we're going to create the VM that we're going to host this on. So to do that, we will run through our DNS project to update our DNS. Give me 1 second. I got signed out. Let me sign back in. So we add the DNS record here into our GitLab, which will then output to our DNS server and reload the zone. So Kimai in A and 91 is what we'll do here. So let's commit that. Kimai. And then the other thing we'll do is add this to our Ansible inventory. By doing so, this means we can use it to target our new box that creates with Ansible and allow us to run our base install stuff with it, which will be great. And add here. And through all this automation, you can watch this in my automation series of how all this kind of works in the back end with our GitLab CI, how this deploys out to our AWS, and how our Ansible jobs actually run and what it configures, which is amazing. So if we log into our AWS box, what we can do here is actually run our workflow template that will essentially create the VM, patch it, install Docker, set up the certs with our step CA server, and set up an Nginx proxy with it, which is like super cool. That's just like, oh yeah, it just kind of does all the steps together. If you want in depth of how each step works, feel free to check out my automation series videos. I have a playlist on my YouTube that just essentially kind of goes through how I automate it with Ansible. So it's a lot of fun. So what we'll do here though is install it. So 91, we'll just call it Dragon Kimai for vCenter. And then we'll look at the proxy. So what we'll do here is actually look at Kimai Docker Compose. There was the Docker Compose right here. So we'll take a look at how it is currently running. So currently it looks like it's using a Nginx proxy on 8001. PHP admin, don't have to worry about that. So what we'll do here is essentially localhost 8001. So we'll just use the port that it's redirecting to host the web app here. And then we'll leave upload headers true just in case you decide you ever want to upload. That's just like some custom headers that I have. So what we can do here is we'll click next and then launch. So then it'll start with this workflow. It will go through and create the whole VM and get our base stuff such as Docker, certs, reverse proxy all set up here. And then from there, we will essentially get the Docker Compose file and essentially set up the application and run it, and then show you what the application can do. So this will take a few minutes, so we'll fast forward the video when we're done. All right, so now that the VM has finished being created, we should now be able to open up a terminal and SSH to it. So we can just do the DNS name, accept the fingerprint, and log in. So we got it all installed and set up, so we can do like Docker PSA. We can see Docker's installed. We can cat our Nginx configuration. You see the proxy path is set to localhost 8001. So what we'll do here is now create the Docker Compose YAML file. And we will go back to the Kimai's website, and we should just be able to copy and paste this Docker file. It's nothing fancy, it's just a normal Docker file. And then paste in here. So a few things to note. So this should work by default. I don't think there's anything that you need. Like you if you wanted to just run it like as is, it would run. But obviously things I would recommend to change is, your MySQL password and the root password. Obviously it says change me please. You should probably change that. But other than that, there's nothing else in here specifically. Admin pass, so you should change that also. And if you change the database password, you want to update it here too. I'm going to leave everything as default just to kind of show you guys, but you should definitely update anything that says password because you do not want to leave it by default. So in this case, we'll save that. And what we'll do is do a Docker Compose up and then detach. And then we'll also just watch the logs just so that we can see it spin up. So it will essentially pull out all the images that it needs. So the app container, the database, and there was a few other containers that it had too to run. So this might take a few seconds depending on your internet speed, how fast it downloads from Docker. But it shouldn't take too long because usually images are pretty compact and small, which is really nice because that's how Docker should be used when you make Docker containers. So we'll give it a few seconds here and we can see everything started. So now this is the log. So this is the logs essentially going through and running. So you can see things are running. The installation is now running for this. So we got the database connection, clearing cache. So we got to wait a few seconds for that. But essentially everything is doing well. So now you can see that everything has finished and we can now make request over here. So we should be able to log in over here with our role and everything. So let's cat out Docker Compose here real quick because the login was actually in here. So add admin at kimai.local, change me please. And we can go now to a browser and type in kimai.dragon.local, which apparently doesn't actually work. Wait. Gotta use HTTPS. I didn't set up HTTP, sorry. You gotta actually type in HTTPS. You could set up HTTP and not HTTPS to do it, but I only proxy pass HTTPS. So that's why that didn't work. So what we got here is admin at kimai.local. So we'll log in as that. And then it was change me please. What's the password? Oh, and it's redirecting to HTTP, which is weird. I don't know why it's doing HTTP on the redirect. It's probably because of how the Docker Compose was set up, maybe. I wonder if you might not need this Nginx here, actually. I wonder if that's doing the redirect, this container here. But that's okay. We can set our time zone. America, Chicago was where I am. Nope. Chicago. And obviously dog. No one likes Sprite. And next. Alright. So you get essentially this website. It looks very, pretty simple. What we'll do here, so a few things. You can't just create like you can't just create a time because you need to create a project and an activity. A project is kind of like your overarching project. Activity can be like a task in your project. So that's the first thing to note. You can't just start a time for whatever. So you actually need to first create your project. So say for example, I wanted to create a project and call it like New Year's Resolution. we'll do like silver. That's good. Customer. Oh, I have to create a customer first? Okay, 1 second. Customer. Me. Country is not Germany, guys. Let's go to United States. Obviously, there's a lot of countries. Like you can definitely make multiple different countries. United States. Your currency could be euros actually, but we're gonna go with the U.S. dollar, and everything else we'll leave as default. So too short. Me with 3 E's, 2 E's. All right, so now we got our first customer. From there, we can create a project that is assigned to that customer. So like New Year resolution. So we'll do that. We'll assign it me, and we can say like the project start date is like, you know, the first. Oh, click here, and then we'll do like end of the year, right? And we won't have a budget or a team here, but you could create a team, obviously. And yeah, we'll just leave budget type monthly. So we can save that. So now we got a customer, a project. Now we need to create activities. So in this case, we can do like first activity, make YouTube videos. We'll assign it to the New Year's resolution, and we will save that. So now that you have a customer, which is me, a project, which is my New Year's resolution, and an activity about making YouTube videos, what I can do is actually start we can create a time tracking thing where we essentially say, hey, for my New Year's resolution, making YouTube videos, we can start running this, and it will start a timer actually. So like it will start a timer up at the top where you can see right here, and it'll essentially, you just start working. So I began at 10:46, which is my computer time essentially, and whenever you're done, I can just hit stop. Now it's like obviously only a few seconds here, so the duration is 1 minute. It rounds, obviously. But you can see I spent 1 minute on my New Year's resolution, and you can add a description of tags and do billing stuff if you wanted to. But that is essentially kind of how you can use the time tracking feature in here to kind of track your activities that you're doing for, you know, a side job or just random stuff like a New Year's resolution, like this, for example, that you just want to keep track and see, you know, how much time do you spend, you know, the whole year doing stuff like this. So this was a fun find, and that's kind of, you know, the basics of this. There's a cool dashboard that kind of shows you, you know, over time, my working hours and stuff like that. So if you just want to keep track of stuff, this is a good way to do it. Super simple and, you know, nice interface. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.